Where boots hit the deck,
All teams ready?
stories take flight.
Coming round.
Welcome to the Barracks Life, a podcast that brings you authentic stories from the men and women who walk the path of military service. Here's something fascinating about naval aviation drones. The MQ-TAC-8 Charlie Fire Scout, one of the platforms Frankie worked with, can autonomously land on moving ship decks in rough seas using sophisticated radar and GPS systems. These unmanned helicopters have changed how the Navy conducts reconnaissance and targeting, operating from ships too small to support traditional manned helicopters. They can stay airborne for over 8 hours, providing eyes in the sky while keeping sailors out of harm's way. And as drone technology exploded, so did the need for counter drone capabilities. They can stay airborne for over 8 hours, providing eyes in the sky while keeping sailors out of harm's way. And as drone technology exploded, so did the need for counter drone capabilities, which is where specialists like our guests became absolutely critical in both conventional and special operation forces. I'm your host, Kit Lovan, and today we're honored to have Chief Aviation Machinist Mate Frankie Ortiz sharing his unique journey with us. With 25 years of naval service, Frankie has kept warbirds flying across the fleet, from his early days turning wrenches on H-60 Seahawks as a junior mechanic to leading maintenance teams through 10 deployments to pioneering the Navy's drone mission as an instructor, teaching the next generation how to operate and counter unmanned aircraft. Welcome and thank you for joining the Barracks Life. Today we have 25-year veteran here from Naval Service joining us today. Joined in 2000, am I correct?
Yes, in 2000. June.
Right around the turn of the millennium, right?
Yeah, Y2K.
Yeah, Y2K is crazy. And also before, 2001, the 9/11. But I want to know, or yeah, I would like to know, what was life before the Navy, right? Like, how did you grow up, and what was your childhood like?
Well, I grew up with this beard. If you're watching this on video, I was born with it. But no, I grew up born in Texas. We moved around a little bit in Texas, then moved to New Mexico, small town called Texaco, New Mexico.
From
Yeah.
Texas to Texaco.
Yeah, right on the border of Texas and New Mexico, and not the gas station Texaco, but TXICO Texaco. I always get that a lot. The gas station? I'm like, no, not the gas
You-
station.
you
I didn't grow up
grew
in a gas station. Yeah, no, I do. I have gotten that. But no, yeah. So Texas, New Mexico, small little town, a few thousand people, and graduated from there. Went from kindergarten all the way through high school there. Graduated with 28 people out of Texas, New Mexico. So very small town
Wow.
again. Grew up working in the fields, hoeing cotton, picking corn, tractors, irrigation, breaking horses, ranching stuff, and farming stuff. So enjoyed every minute of it.
Wow.
And just worked at Sonic for a while there, as a teenager as well, still having to, provide for helping out the family and everything.
Yeah.
Living in a small town, raised by my grandmother mostly, but our mother was around. She's just also working a lot, but lived in the home with the grandmother mostly. But yeah, me and my 3 older brothers.
3 older. So you're the youngest?
Yeah.
Like me, man. I'm the youngest too, but I got 2 older brothers.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Right
right.
on. How would you say life was like? I mean, you got 3 older brothers. Was it hard? Was it
Well,
difficult?
that's why I'm tough now, I got picked on a lot, by the older brothers, but yeah, just I enjoyed it, looking back. I think I've always been one of those positive attitude people. I think I've been told that often. It's like, why are you happy? What's there to be mad about?
That's a good outlook. Yeah.
Yeah.
Growing up, did you have any, did you play any sports or any hobbies or interests in things like that?
Yeah, I played every sport we had. Track, I was a track athlete, won state several times in track.
Wow. What event?
It was long distance mile, 2 mile,
Oh,
800.
wow.
Junior high, we did 600. Mile medley, mile relay. My brother in my high school, my second oldest brother, he used to hold all the records for the mile medley, the mile relay, the mile, the
Wow.
2 mile, and I went and beat all of his records, and so he's still kind of salty to this day
That's
about that.
funny. That's
I tend to
awesome.
rub it in his face, but
Dang,
brotherly love.
I didn't even know we had a collegiate athlete here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I had college scholarship, full ride for baseball and track.
Wow.
Out of high school, walked in the recruiter's office one day, and here I am.
That was
Yeah, yeah.
it.
Well, I walked in the Navy recruiter office and was like, "Hey, what do you have working with my hands?" And
Mm.
that's what I did, my whole life growing up. And he's like, "Oh, nothing, but we got this new IT thing, well, it wasn't really IT back then, but with this computer thing, what do they do? I'll work
Mhm.
on computer. Like, not for me. I'll just go be a Marine." And walked in the Marine office, and because my buddy was over there, the Marines enlisted in the Marines, so I was like, "I'll just go be a Marine with him."
Mhm.
And Navy dude came over there, grabbed me. He's like, "All right, I got one job, aircraft mechanic." "Oh, what do they do?" And like, "Fix airplanes." "Why didn't you say that in the first place?" "Sign me up." Signed the dotted line, and a couple weeks later, shipped off.
Wow.
Right
Wow.
after graduation.
Was there I mean, it didn't sound like there was very, very much thought, but did you ever was the military the choice for you? Or what did you have another I mean, obviously you got college scholarships and
There was thought into it. Yeah, I make it sound just
Okay,
like
yeah, yeah,
a
okay. I wanna
spur of
hear
the
about that.
moment whim thing. Yeah, but now there's definitely thought behind it. I think a lot of um, I think God works in everything, right? And He pushes us to do things.
Right.
I think it was kind of, a calling for me. Like I said, I had the full rise to go to college, and I was always a forethinker, and I still am. I think to this day, it's like, hey, let's. Uh, what is this going to get me, and how long can I get that? Am I going professional athlete? And you can't tell, me
Mhm.
sitting down and my voice here on here, but 5'6", coming out of high school, soaking 110 pounds, soaking wet. So, um, but so again, long distance runners are normally tall,
Yeah.
tall, skinny, lanky, and I was short, and I was just fast at running the long distance events and really good. So a 4 minute miler, and then
Gee.
in the mile, I was good at running and playing baseball, and just for some reason, but I had forethought into it. It was like,
Okay.
I don't see myself going professional, and here we are years later, right now. At the
Yeah.
age I am now, with all these pains and stuff, it's like, man, imagine if I went and just went and played sports my whole life, how much pains I'd have now. So
Mhm. Wow, yeah, that's super interesting. Is there other than the job opportunity, is there a reason why you chose the Navy over the Marine Corps or the Navy over all the other branches?
well, once he told me being a mechanic, that's what I love doing.
Oh,
My
okay.
mother taught us how to be mechanics. She from when we were little, had us under the cars, fixing the vehicles and stuff, and the farm vehicles, all that. And growing up back then in the 80s, 90s, you didn't have cell phones like we do now, right? You couldn't just call the mechanic or the tow truck to come
Yeah,
out,
you were the mechanic.
miles out in the middle of nowhere to come get you. You either MacGyvered it. If you don't know what MacGyver is, look it up. But right, some bubble
Yeah,
gum, baling wire, right, duct tape,
yeah.
and you fixed it and got it back to town to get repaired, or back to the shop to do the repairs yourself.
Mhm.
So there was no either that, or you're running back, several miles back to the town to get the parts, and running
And
or getting a ride back to fix it. So
and for you, you were actually running it,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. To this day, I hate walking. It's like,
Yeah?
yeah, I don't like just do do do. I'm like, I gotta jog at
Yeah.
least.
Wow. Wow. Was there anybody in your family that was military or maybe your brothers or yeah, anybody?
Yeah, my brother, who's a year older than me, he actually joined the army. I was actually signed up in depth before he went and joined the army, but then he got shipped off first because he graduated high school first.
Right, right.
So he got shipped off early, and then yeah, so he was in the army 16 years, medically retired.
Wow. Well, thank you for his service. And thank you for yours. 25 years, man. That's a long, long time.
It feels like yesterday when retirement rolled out back or around. I was like, man, where did all that time go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Was there any other influences for you for doing what you did?
Yes, yes. So my mother's late husband, she was married to a man, not my father. After years, she had married another man, and he was actually in the army, and he always had his army stuff in the garage, you know, in boxes
Mhm.
and stuff. And us as kids, we'd go in there and we'd play army. And yes, I know the joke. Nobody ever plays navy. They always play army. Yes, I played army, but I joined navy. I get it. But you'll probably see that joke in the comments. And,
Probably.
so I beat you to the punch. But yeah, so I played navy. Me and my brothers with wearing his stuff. So he served in World War II in Vietnam and Korea. So he served in the big three.
Wow.
And I just remember him telling his stories there. He would sit on, this is when you could smoke indoors too, around children again. He'd just sit there, smoke with his wild turkey next to him. And he was never mean, always a nice man. And just drink his wild turkey and smoke his cigarettes and tell his war stories to us. And we'd sit on the floor just listening to his war
Wow.
stories and stuff. So, which was, so that did kind of put that impression onto me of like something to look up to. You know, he had all his medals out there in the garage. We'd always pull out and check
Yeah.
out.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. So I want to know, thank you for sharing that. And but I want to know the day you joined, right? Everybody's got a experience with, for me it was the yellow footprints and the yelling and screaming and just the drill instructors, right? What was it like for you? Do you remember the day shipping off? I think you guys you
Yeah.
did you go where did you go first off, and how was that like? What was that? What were their
Yeah.
thoughts?
Well, first time ever being on a big airplane, right?
Yeah.
Coming from New Mexico, small town New Mexico, you know, really never got out. We flew in smaller airplanes around little local airport. We'd go back then. It was like $20 to go get on a rent the airplane and get on there and get flight lessons and stuff. So me and my
Wow.
buddies would occasionally do that. We'd save up money and then we'd go do a flight or whatever, you know, to a little tiny local airport.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
the biggest airplane been on, so, and you know, not very far, but getting on an airplane and flying to Denver first, you know, flew into there, and then stayed one night there, and then they flew us out to Chicago the next day, and then got
Hmm.
there, get on the bus, right off the bus, you know, the screaming, yelling. You know, growing up back then, I was used to the screaming, yelling, you know, the hard
Hmm.
work, the hard lifestyle, and we grew up like that in the small town. I I did marching band, all that, so the marching stuff was easy, you know, I never saw that, but I never, like, other than just being tired, because of course they keep you awake, I remember just sleeping on a sleeping bag when I could, or the sea bag, just
Yeah.
sleeping on top of it, sitting down there, Indian style, crisscross applesauce down for you
Left
can't call
hand,
it.
left knee,
Yeah,
right hand, right knee.
yeah. But, yeah, so, not a whole yeah, the screaming and yelling was just screaming and yelling to
Uh,
me, I think.
for for someone who's never left home, was that a big factor for you, like being in boot camp? Because I remember in my platoon, there was a good group of guys that just had trouble with being away from home because it's their first time. I mean, it sounds like it was your first time
Yeah,
away from
yeah.
home too. Was that something for you? Was that something
Yeah.
that affected
Yeah,
you?
I mean, other because I did church, Bible camps and things like that, so I
Yeah.
did get away from home, you know, with around other groups of people, which was, I guess, but no, I didn't. I don't remember having a big issue with it.
Yeah.
It was just more, you know, people. I was always been a people person,
Hmm.
and smile on my face type of guy. So, uh,
Did that
yeah.
get you in trouble in boot camp?
Yes, it got me in trouble throughout my whole military career. Because when I'd be getting yelled at, you know, with the little smile on my, the smirk is like,
Yeah.
why are you smiling? Why are you smirking? You know, been Captain Smash 7 times. We'll probably get in that later,
Oh.
but yeah, so and a couple times at Captain Smash, you know, why are you
Yeah.
smiling? I was like, well,
Wow.
I'm not. I'm not
That's
laughing.
just my
Yeah,
face.
my face. I don't know.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I know for myself and a lot of military members that I talk to, you and my friends, there's always moments in boot camp that are that are just rememberable, right? Things that just stick out. Is there something right now that's popping out? A person, a moment, funny, good, bad, whatever that's popping up in your head? I mean, it's been 25 years.
Yeah. Oh, boot camp. The one that always sticks out from boot camp. Couple, right? Well, a couple, but the first one I think is my biggest one is this kid Slaughter. Is his last name Slaughter? Yeah, I
Slaughter.
don't remember his last name, but Slaughter was the last, or his first name, but his Slaughter was the last name. And we were just I was hanging out by the racks, you know, and he snuck up behind me and put me in a rear naked choke. Right? And my first reaction, my brothers used to do this all the time to me. So my first reaction was just to bend over and chuck him over the top
Yeah.
of my head. just this little hip throw that I would do to my brothers
Yeah.
because he put me in that rear naked choke. I hip chucked him over me, and he lands on top of his head, cracks his eyebrow open, and he's just gushing blood everywhere. It's like, oh, we're both done for, right?
Yeah.
We're like, and then I take him over to the RDC, the drill instructor guys, and they're like, "What happened?" And I was like, "Oh, he's gonna tell on me, right?" Nope. He's like, the first thing he said is, "I was jogging around I was going too fast, running around the little beds there, and I slipped and fell and hit my head on the ground."
Mm.
I was like, he just said both. He's all like, "Ortiz, take him to medical, walk him over there." So walked him over to medical, holding pressure on his head and everything. But
You
I
guys are all
remember that.
laughing about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It was an experience. I was like,
Yeah.
that's when I kind of had that, oh my goodness, it's over for us. But that I was always an athlete, so my RDC, just saw that I was a really good runner, so he'd always, and I could play basketball at 5'6". I can play basketball. uh, so I was good at everything, all sports, and
Mhm.
my RDC would put me up, and he'd bet money on the side with other
Wow.
RDCs. Like, I got a guy who could beat your guy and stuff, and I'd go and I'd beat him, and I'd get free phone calls all the time. The RDC would be like, "Ortiz, get over here," and like pretend to yell at me, and he'd shut the door, and then he'd be like, "All right, call your mom." Use the phone, call your mom. Hey,
Wow.
use my computer, email home.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we
That's
had a thing called service week where they stick you and do a little job, whatever, throughout during this 1 week of boot camp. They stick you in, you go
oh yeah.
wash dishes at the galley, or you go,
You
clean up the
volunteer.
base or stuff. And he stuck me with the ITs, and like, just like, hey, go sit there and help the dudes fix computers all day. Okay, easy
Wow.
job. He made it easy for me. So
So you got the hookup,
yeah, yeah,
but I mean, you put out for it.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think your boot camp is different from mine, just being different branches, but also the time you joined, is very, very different as well in 2000s. Um, there was how I mean, you experienced the time from before 9/11 and after 9/11, right? How
Yeah.
how was that? Do you remember?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, just on the bases alone, right? I mean, they changed from uh you had the little sticker on the front of your window, right? You didn't, and you just held your ID card up like, "Oh, I got an ID card."
Mm-hmm.
And they would just wave you through, "Oh, you got the sticker," right? Just
Yeah, just
just go on.
keep
Go
yeah.
on. Just keep it moving. Traffic was super simple on bases then, and then yeah, right, as soon as when 9/11 happened, right? That was a mess of traffic just getting on
Mm-hmm.
bases, and then also just the up tempo, how everything changed, all the rules on the bases, and then all the requirements for everybody for getting on off bases, muster times, and
Yeah. 2000 you joined, right? You and then you went to A school, C school, I'm guessing. How was
yep,
that?
yep.
Where was that and how was that?
Yeah. So A school was in Pensacola, Florida. So, yeah, so left
Good old
Chicago.
Pete Cola.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Flew into ATL, and then from there flew us down to Pensacola, and that I enjoyed Pensacola. Nice weather when I was there. Uh, had a cool room. Actually, I was just looking at pictures the other day, and I was like, "Oh man!" It's like I remember him.
Yeah.
He ended up getting kicked out of the military because he did some stuff he wasn't supposed to do
It
from A
happens.
school, but I won't put that out on
Yeah,
here. But
it happens.
yeah, uh, it- and then, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I remember going to the beach and hanging out at the beach, and um, Marines wanted to fight us at the beach all the time. Like, "Oh, look at those squids," and they wanted to fight us. And
Yeah, we still do.
yeah, yeah, y'all do.
Yeah, because I mean, I was
Like,
there. I was there in 2013 or 11. Well, sorry, 2012 to 2013 is when I was. Or no, when did I? 2013 to 2014. I was there for a whole year on
oh man,
just waiting the class up.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was there for like, I don't know, 10 months, maybe 11 months waiting the class up. So we had nothing to do. But when I was there, we were on serious lockdown where we had to be in uniform all the time. We had to march everywhere. We had very limited off base privileges, all this crazy because of the previous Marines before
Yeah, yeah,
that
of
just
course.
that
Yeah,
just
yeah,
ruined
yeah.
it for us. But so we were always envious of you guys because you guys had a lot of freedom. compared to
Oh
compared
yeah,
to us. I
yeah,
mean, I don't
yeah.
know how it was, you know.
No, there's definitely a lot of freedom. It's spent like I think the first week you spend on like lockdown. You can't do anything when you're
Hmm.
first there. You do your little musters, your little cleaning and stuff. Because I had to wait maybe like a month to class up
Right.
or so. So not as long as you, but yeah. And then so we just did our little cleanups. And after you're there a week, you get your Cinderella pass. So you get to go out to like midnight, and then you do your the time 3 weeks or whatever your
Hmm.
Cinderella, and then you get
You gotta
to
come back before the
yeah.
clock strikes 12.
Yeah, and then you got other freedoms where you can go out in town, stay out, on the weekends and stuff like that. But yeah, I remember having freedom, being out all the time.
Yeah.
And then the little club base there, what was that one called? The
Port side.
Portside. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because now they built the Portside downtown,
Yeah.
the little where they got the brigantine and all that down there. I don't know
Uh,
if you've seen it. So it's called the Portside now down
Okay.
there. So when I walked by there when it was first got built, I was like, and it brought back Pensacola. I was like, that's what the club in Pensacola was called, Portside. Yes.
Yeah, port side. We were only allowed to stay out to 2200, 10 o'clock. So we had to be back in our racks already. So we couldn't fully experience port side, but we got what we could, you know. So yeah, good old port side. Any stories would you like to bring up from port side? Any memories from port side?
Is there memories?
Is there memories? I don't remember any of it. That's how
That's the
good it
hard part.
was.
That's the hard part. So trying to remember what I did it for. No, a lot of I probably did some stuff I shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
Lost my way there for a little bit.
Yeah.
But found my way back. Yeah.
Yeah. So after Pensacola, you hit the fleet, right? Where was that and how was that?
Yeah, so Pensacola, I got to, the orders came out, you pick your orders, like guys with the highest grades get to pick their order, guys or girls, right? Get to pick their orders first. Whoever has the highest grade. So I was the second highest grade, and I got to pick second. The first dude, of course, he chose jets because they're like, oh, I want to be a jet. And then I saw San Diego was the only helicopter command
Mm-hmm.
in San Diego. Well, there's other helicopter command, but it was the only San Diego orders. And I was like, oh, that's close enough to home, but far enough from home,
Mm-hmm.
if I want to go on vacation or whatever. So I was like, and everything else was further away with all the jet commands, wet or East Coast and stuff. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like snow. I don't. So San Diego. So I chose those orders and ended up in San Diego. So my first command in San Diego was a HS-10 helicopter, Squadron 10, which doesn't exist anymore. The Warhawks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they actually got rid of them. So like,
And how was that? How was your perception of fleet life, and then how was the actual reality of it?
yeah. The reality is always way different than me. I think you probably had that same experience, right?
For
It's the
sure.
reality of what you're used to from out of boot camp and A school, the structure, the regime, the you walk around everywhere marching, right,
Yeah.
with your head up high and in step with your buddies, even even in A school, right? If you're in
Yeah.
uniform on the base, you're walking in step, man, you're saluting everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, so getting there and then just like you're all like, "Yes, petty officer, no petty officer."
Robot.
Like, yeah, robot, and they're like,
Chillax,
"Dude,
man.
chill out, sit down, relax, right? You read the manual, like do
Yeah.
this, do that, go clean this, like."
Yeah, we always had a rolling joke that during boot camp and during C school, A school, that's as marine as you're gonna get, as military as you're gonna get, and then you hit the fleet. It's like some places still lock it down or hold it down, but from my experience, well, we didn't. That's for sure. I'm sure it sounds like they didn't for you,
Yeah, not until you do something dumb, right?
right?
And that's when they throw the knife hand out at you,
Yeah.
and you got to stand up tall and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
look straight ahead,
There's a
and
time and place for
yeah.
those things. Yeah. Yeah. So you're here in San Diego, right? Working on aircraft H-60s. How was the experience working on those, and were you able to fly on them as well?
Yes, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I enjoyed being a mechanic. I get the satisfaction of fixing things even to this day. Fix my car, just help my one of my friends fix her car, change brakes and stuff. Like I like doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Like getting down there, getting my hands dirty to this day. So I enjoyed every minute of it. I just get a sense of pride of watching those things fly after I fix it. Be like, yeah, I did that. I helped do that. Like
Right.
my team did that. So. Uh, get that pride and sense of accomplishment, which is a big thing. And that's what I always try to pitch too to the younger guys, like, and this is you should feel something after
Yeah,
you do that. It's like that's a war machine flying right there
right. Having pride in
because
your
of you.
work. Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely feel that. I mean, working on the 53s, we're kind of the same. I mean, I grew up like that. We're working on stuff. I still work on stuff to this day, and it's just that sense of pride is is it's good to have. I think we should have it more in the modern military now. Um, but anyway, we'll get into that. um, and you said you were able to fly on these
Yeah,
60s.
yeah. So yeah,
How was that? How was
I
that?
became a well, we'd sometimes get hooked up, be like, hey, we're gonna have flights today. People sign up and go fly. We did that stuff, and then also I became an in-flight mechanic. After getting some experience and get my qualifications, CDI, CDQR, all that stuff, and then become an in-flight mechanic and sit in the back and doing vibration analysis, from the back and uh, any other mechanical stuff that we need to fix. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, being a CDI and CDQ, I know for the ones that aren't, it's a collateral duty inspector and basically quality collateral duty inspector. It's these higher levels of responsibilities as a maintainer that you achieve, but also with that higher level, you have to teach, right? And I know for me personally, teaching was one of the hardest aspects, just because I was so of my personality. I was very rigid and rough and just things like that. And I thought everybody should be as smart as I was, but they weren't. So it was a huge learning curve for me. W- What would you say is how was that experience for you teaching? Coming from being an apprentice, working your way up, CDI, CDQ, and then now being a teacher and passing on the knowledge to the next generation.
Yeah, I loved it. I love teaching people. That's what I do now, right? As a contractor now, I teach guys how to fly drones. So,
Right.
um, and I did that all the last part of my career in the military, and I was an instructor twice in my career. I liked I enjoyed it doing once I got the qualifications, enjoyed teaching the guys like on the aircraft physically. And then when I went to instructor duty, it's kind of a different teaching. You're standing in front of a classroom, you show
Right.
PowerPoints, right? And then you go take them out to a little mock aircraft and remove parts. And so first I was like, oh, I ain't gonna like that. And then once I got in my first class, after I taught my first class solo, I was like, I enjoy this.
Really.
I want to keep doing this, and I went. That's why I went back a second time for a second tour in instructor duty. I really enjoyed doing it both ways, teaching on real aircraft and teaching in
Mhm.
classroom settings as well.
What is it about teaching that you think you really enjoy?
Passing my knowledge on, right? I've always, seen it as it's easy to keep the knowledge all to yourself, and let everyone else fail, or passing on the knowledge and giving them those tips and tricks that you learned along the way through your struggles. Like, hey, instead of doing, I mean, sure as a mechanic, you own aircraft. Sometimes, when you reach under to go to get the drive shaft bolt out, right? For example, I'm sure your drive shafts are a pain,
Yeah.
right? Like you got to twist your hand a certain
Yeah,
way and hold the nut and
you're a
do like,
contortionist.
yeah, yeah. You got to fit in the little box, right?
Yeah.
And it's done a certain way, and like to help the other guys, you got to tell them like, hey, you got to turn your hand this, like hold it, do this, do it, boom, 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 and use this extra extension that it doesn't call for in the book, and you got
Mhm.
to do it this way, and yeah, so enjoyed teaching guys that as I learned it as well going along. Said I was a mechanic, so I knew all about tools. I knew what they all were and how they
Mhm.
worked prior to even going in. Uh,
Yeah, it is rewarding once I learned how to teach uh how to teach individuals for their learning. Not how I would teach myself, but how I would teach them. So that was a learning curve for me. There's always that knucklehead that doesn't learn a certain or has to learn a certain way.
mhm.
Did you experience that as well?
Yes, yes, yeah, and they're everywhere, right? I was probably that knucklehead at one point, right? In some aspect, in some type of job or something, right?
Yeah.
Sure, we all were at one point as being that knucklehead as well. Somebody had to push us along, and that's why we made it as far as we made it because
Yeah.
they didn't give up on us. So, I did have that. The way I taught, I think I learned quickly that people do learn different ways, but everybody knows can visually visualize things, right? Visually visualize. I don't know if that's a double negative or double positive, whatever that might be, but um, everybody could look at something. And what I always taught guys is, you know, this song, apply this song, and now everybody else, y'all know how to do this too. You can apply this to any mechanical, electrical thing in your household. You can take things apart and put them back together if you just follow the little song. The knee bone's connected to the thigh bone, right? Right, as you go along,
The
right?
chain
One
reaction,
thing
yeah.
is connected to the other and makes the other thing helps and makes the other thing work. So mechanics is no different, right? It's like the drive shaft's connected to this thing and that thing, right? The motor part, this thing is
Mhm.
connected to that thing, right? The electrical component is connected to the circuit, and the circuit's so everything works that way. And so when you're troubleshooting something, when it's broke, you just go like, okay, this is
Mhm.
where it starts, plugged in. Is it plugged in? Is it electrical power? Okay, that's working. Follow the cables. Is this next part working? That works. Oh, it's not working here. There's a problem here.
Right.
There's no need to go any further or start at the beginning and work your way backwards. Just start where the source comes from and work towards the problem.
Right. Yeah. And that's a funny I've never heard I know of that song,
Yeah.
but I never applied it to mechanics.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's exactly it. Yeah, you one step at a time, right? The next link in the chain. Yeah, that's cool. Uh, so how long? I mean, you have 25 years in the Navy, right? How what? How long were you in San Diego, and then where was your next duty station after that?
I had to travel like halfway around the country to San Diego.
Wow.
So my whole 25 years are here in San Diego. Yep,
Wow.
I never picked orders. My detailer was like, "I know where you're going. I know where
Wow,
you're going."
that's super
And he
rare.
managed, yeah, he managed to keep me here without even me asking. A couple times, once I had orders to Guam, I had
Mhm.
orders in hand. I put my stuff, shipped it off to San Francisco to go put on some barge or plane up wherever they were going to do with it,
Right.
and get it over to Guam. And last minute, they was like, "Oh, you know what? They need you at this command. You're staying." I was living in Navy housing at that time too, so military housing, and they're like, I'd already done my final inspection and everything was moving out. They already had somebody scheduled to move in. I had to go and be like, we're not leaving now, and can you bring my stuff back?
Wow, that's
Yeah,
super rare.
yeah. So
Like,
then we ended up staying and and they ended up going to HS4 at that time
what
from HSL 49.
did you not do any sea duty?
Or seen that you, sorry.
Did you do any sea
Yeah,
duty?
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, my second command was sea duty. Yeah, so
Okay, okay.
HSL 49. It's a helicopter, Sea Combat Light Squadron 49 here in San Diego as well. And it was sailing on small ships. So my first ship was a frigate, and
Mm,
then did a cruiser and a destroyer, followed by that.
wow.
Uh, and then we did some carrier time as well on the Lincoln. Uh,
How
Back when the movie Stealth was shot, we were on the Lincoln.
was it?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not too familiar, but I believe you.
Jamie Foxx and Jessica Biel, and
Okay.
there's another actor, I don't remember his name.
Were they shooting while you were on it?
Yeah, yeah, the film was being shot on there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they
Whoa.
brought on. So again, I was looking at old pictures just the other day, and
Yeah.
I came across those pictures too with the aircraft it's on the movie, and
Mhm.
it was just a plywood thing. But so it's crazy how CGI works and all that stuff to actually see the movie after being right next and touching the aircraft, and like the lights and everything worked on it by them plugging in an extension cord into the ship and just plugging it in. And that's how the lights in the cockpit work. But
Mhm.
CGI and all that, it looks all not made of plywood and
Oh,
it
that's pretty
looks all
cool.
stealthy.
That's pretty cool. So you said you were on you did a couple boat duties, right? Sea duties. How was that experience like compared to being on land?
Like I said, my first ship was a frigate, so
What's a frigate?
at the time they don't have them anymore, right? They retired all the frigates in the Navy, but it was the smallest ship in the Navy at the
Mhm.
time, and it rocks. It moves around. So the first day on that thing was seasick, just laying on the on the flight deck, being like, be one with the ship." So it's a
Be
small
one with
be one with the ship. Oh, just
the
and then made it through the first day, and then after that, I never got seasick again.
Wow. Yeah, that
uh,
I remember a lot of guys getting seasick for our Marines at least.
On the carrier.
No, I wasn't
Oh
on.
wait, you're
I
on
was
the
on the
yeah,
LHD.
late stage, yeah.
Yeah, so um, but yeah, some guys they were like white pale. I didn't like the movies how they turned white pale,
Yeah.
just like got no life in them. Like, whoa, that's real. I didn't get. I never got seasick, so I wouldn't. I didn't know.
It's because you're from the
Probably.
island.
But yeah, that boat life is. I know for me, for the Marines and for my boat, it was very difficult because of just the restrictions we had as being Marines on a Navy ship. Um, but for you guys, I mean, I only did a few 4 months on the ship, but I couldn't imagine a couple like 3 years, right? You guys do shore duty or sea duty, so yeah. I mean, tell us a little bit about that. How was 3 years on a ship, multiple times? How was the first one compared to the next one and the next one?
uh, I mean, I enjoyed them, especially the
Mm,
smaller ships. You pull into port a lot. You
mm,
pull into uh, and we pull in some bunch of cool places like, hey, we need gas, we need food. So my first two deployments were independent sailing. We were part of ESG-1, my first one when I was on the frigate.
mhm.
Expeditionary Strike Group 1 with, I forget what MEU was on I think the Peleliu was with us on that one.
The
Peleliu or Boxers,
Peleliu
but yeah, it was either Peleliu or Boxer,
or the
but
boxer, yeah.
I don't know. I've deployed both of those. The one was ESG-1 and the other one ESG-3 that we deployed with. But we were independent sailing most of the time on the smaller ship, away from the most of the MEU or the ESG group, and
Mhm.
doing our own thing, being tasked with whatever they told us to do out there. And then we're pulling into a bunch of cool places, which I really enjoyed. I didn't, other than missing my family and kids, because my first son was born right at the beginning of, or my son, not my first son, because he's my only son. Yeah,
First and only.
yeah. Uh, but he was born just prior to my first deployment, and just a month later, I was on deployment
Oh,
after his
wow.
birth. So back then, you didn't get the paternity leave. You didn't get all the leave you get now. You got like I forget how long it was, but not very long. A few
Yeah.
days, and then you had to get back to work. So
Wow. How was that going through, your son just being born, being only 1 month, and then you had to leave them? How was that? What was that like?
and that was always the hardest part about deployment, right? Always the hardest part is leaving my family. Um, but I loved what I did. I loved what I did, and I felt again, like I said at the beginning, right? I felt like it was a calling to do this,
Hmm.
and then hopefully I impacted people, through my character and my attitude,
Hmm.
and brought people joy and all this stuff. But yeah, that was difficult, right? And I think we've all everybody in the military has experienced that, whether you're married and children or not, right? You miss something from being back home with
Yeah.
family, parents, friends. Uh, just the way the internet works normally. Vice going back to dial-up again. I know most of you probably don't know what dial-up internet is, but
Yeah. And how did your wife handle it? It was just your wife,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and my wife had
Your
that.
wife
Yeah.
at the time.
hmm
How did she handle it?
The first couple deployments, I think she handled them well. She was very supportive. She was there, care packages all the time.
Wow.
All the good stuff. So she held it down at home, especially with the kids and everything. So nothing. Uh, so she did everything, good and supportive
Mm.
of my career. So, and I was able to excel and advance. In 6 years, I was I'm 86. That was not
Wow.
a not a normal thing back then,
Yeah.
right? Not
And
like it
not
is
to
now.
this day.
Seems way easier, but no.
Wow. Yeah, I just ask because I know, I mean, I've witnessed it firsthand with being on deployment and just the hardship that being away can happen, that does happen to the family. A lot of guys
Mhm.
in the Marine Corps love it, and a lot of guys hate it. And it's just such an impactful moment or impactful event in a lot of families' lives.
It did eventually, right? Several deployments later, I
Yeah.
ended up doing 10. So uh, it did end up affecting our marriage, and I did end up divorced.
Mhm.
After 15 years of marriage. Um,
Sorry.
you very fine. So, but she like we were talking in the beginning. She held it down really well. Nothing to take away from her. But she held down the kids in the home. very well. It just I think the separation, the so much separation, really kind of drew that wedge between us, and
Yeah, it's super tough. I mean, I remember hearing stories from good friends that had you know missed their baby's birth and things like that because mission was more important, and just these kind of sacrifices that I didn't know existed until I saw it firsthand, and it's rough.
yeah,
It's rough, and you really have no choice but to do what the military says for you to do.
yeah. And I was fortunate, and blessed enough that I was there for the birth of my children. Uh, each time, just it just somehow played out.
Yeah,
And by the grace of God, right?
yeah.
He made it possible for me to be there. But I did have an experience of missing my grandmother's funeral.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was a big one. It was raised by my grandmother mostly, so having to miss that meant being on deployment. So
How did you handle that moment um in your life? And your grandma passing away and being deployed, and what gave you strength and just the will to keep going on? Because it does suck when I can only imagine. It never happened to me, but I could only imagine that, like, how could something take away an opportunity to go, you know, be there for someone who raised you?
yeah,
So,
and it was very emotional. I felt emotion. I was never emotional expresser. I've never been a crier.
yeah.
Never been a sad and down, depressed type of person. I have experienced depression, more recently,
Hmm.
and but at that time, I don't know, I didn't ever experience it, and never understand like people who did. Um, and, could never be on that same level because I was always up here
Yeah.
in life and never really down here. But faith, a big one for me, right? And my mother as well. She's very again. Then I got her uh, ability to. It was her mother who passed away, and she held it together very well, and she's to this day always still holding the whole entire family together, and we see her as a matriarch of the family and everything.
Wow.
Because yeah. Love you, mom. Don't
We
cut
love
that
you,
out,
mom.
bitch. No.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, man. It's just it's so hard to translate what that actually is like, to people who never experienced that. It's different when you have no choice and being forced to do something that you don't want to do, and you know that these repercussions are gonna last forever if you don't follow them. But
Yeah, and at that point in my career, I was a E7,
mhm,
leading people, and qualified in maintenance control and everything. So me and another guy who were qualified, I was a day shift guy. The other guy was a night shift maintenance controller. We traded back and forth, but um, at that time I was the day shift guy, and there's no one else called, so I couldn't leave. So it's one of those things like I had to stand up and be like, show that like, hey, sometimes we can't leave, and even though there was other people on deployment who had things happen, with family members where they got flown off, going back to my rack, and feeling that like that's unfair, but also still having to put on the face like, hey, we're supporting the mission and we're supporting each other here,
yeah,
and not letting it get me down or make me feel a certain way.
yeah, at least not showing it, right?
Yeah,
You are in that leadership
yeah, yeah.
position.
I'm human, I get feelings too,
Yeah, yeah, it's rough. Just like I said, I've witnessed it, and a lot of good leaders hold it down in the front of everybody, but when it comes down to it, like it just sucks, and you experienced it, and I'm glad that you had faith to help you get through that, because it is a it is the foundation that we live on, right? And it just I try to be more empathetic now for the guys that don't have faith, and just try to be there for them. Um, but yeah, is is there a moment where in all of your career, a moment where you kind of just was so angry at God for anything?
I think there's a I think time not maybe not all of us, but I think a lot of us, feel I wouldn't say anger in the sense of cursing God and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. I have felt that. I think the first time is during my divorce, and kind of right as soon as it all started happening, I got separated from the kids and all that stuff. Um, I was very down there, and I look up and like, why? Why now? And then as we do as humans, at first think I started blaming the situation fully on her, not taking any responsibility on me, and doing that for a little bit, and also kind of drove that wedge between me and God, because I was not being forgiveful, as He commands us to do, forgive everybody, everyone as He has forgiven us. Uh, and I was just holding that as a grudge against her, which kind of drove that wedge between me and God. And as time went on, learned how to forgive her, and things are better now. We talk and we communicate about the kids and things like that, but which is good, and that's because I started, right, forgave, got forgiveness from myself, not expecting her to forgive me,
Yeah.
as I expected at first. As I think we all do. With You're angry at anybody, you expect the other person to see what they did wrong, and
Yeah.
but looking in a word and realizing, and I did that through help of pastor, and also or chaplain, sorry, and as well as going to personal counseling, and so
Yeah.
and that helped out. So
Yeah.
if you're ever thinking about it, pull the trigger on it and go seek personal counseling. I tell people all the time, when I talk to people, it's just a conversation with somebody who can help you sort things out.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I mean, I know I've had struggles too, and when I dig deeper down and I ask myself and I ask God, it's like it just rooted in pride. Where I was too prideful to ask for help, or too thinking I could handle it myself or anything like that, right? And God just broke me down. I was like, and yeah, I recommend going to counseling and going to even for personal counseling or even marriage counseling or anything like that. It's helpful. It's super super helpful as you've experienced as well. And I wish more people would do it. But yeah, thank you for sharing that, man. I know it's not a easy topic or easy to talk about in general. So just thank you for sharing.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I used to be that way, just bottle things up, hold things in, compartmentalizing things, as as I discussed with my counselor, and I was very good at it for a long, long time until your box gets full. I was talking about these imaginary boxes in your brain, and once those things start getting full and stuff starts coming out, they come out in a bad way. They come out emotional or anger, and hate and this and that,
Yeah.
vice, and they change you. They change you from the person that you were to the person you don't want to be, and um, so getting ahead of it before it gets there when you're having difficult times, bottling things up is always better than hurting yourself or hurting others, emotionally or physically.
Yeah. Yeah, I've I've always heard that compartmentalizing thing because I do it as well, but I guess I've never really heard of it overflowing. And thank you for enlightening me on that. It's really
Yeah, yeah. And it's, you think of, the toy box or the box in your garage, right? That you just keep shoving stuff in and
yeah,
shoving, and then one day you just can't fit no more stuff in that box. You keep throwing things in, and then it's overflowing, and then you have a mess, right?
yeah.
Then you just start throwing stuff on the counter, or you're here and there, and piling up around the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then before you know it, it's like, and you got to clean it up. You got to
Yeah.
clean up that mess.
Things get messy.
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah, like I said, thank you for sharing that, man. I know it's hard for not just for people, but especially for men to share these type of things. Say that we need help or ask for advice or just articulate our feelings to anybody, and and
100%.
and that really helps when we're able to do that. And for us being godly men, we have someone that we can do that with. right? Which is God and our relationship with Him. And it's just if we can't do that with God, then who can we do that with? Who exactly? Yeah, who can we do that with? So
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's so weird that the world that we live in teaches us. I'm not blaming the world or anything, but the world does teach us to bottle all these feelings in. You're a man, suck it up, and
Yeah. Yeah.
especially in the military,
Yeah.
right? Keep your mouth shut, do your job. Like you feel this way, we don't care, get it done, right? And it's just that type of mentality gets ingrained in us as men,
Yeah.
and then like you said, it starts to these we compartmentalize things, and then it overfills and it gets messy. And unfortunately, like there's no excuses, but some people have to deal with our mess.
Yeah, and I was that man myself, as or boy. I was a boy
Yeah.
at that time. Hopefully, I'm a man now, but I'm all grown up.
Yeah.
No, I was that way. I grew up on the farm, ranching, farming, all that stuff, from sports, so I always felt like, I'm tough, and again, grew up in the 80s, 90s, and, a man's a man don't cry. And
Mhm.
I always attributed that to my upbringing and then into my military career. And so I felt that way too, especially prior to getting help to counseling. I felt like I couldn't or I shouldn't because it was a sign of weakness or a sign of
Right.
non-manliness, and to the point where it did get a lot um, in me, where I finally reached out to my mother because I thought my mother would have a problem with it. Right? That's how I think
Mm,
our own brains work. Is like we like, oh, other people may have a problem. For me, it was my mother's like, she's not. She's gonna have a problem with it because she raised me to be a man and not an emotional mess. And reached out to her to go, I weirdly asked her permission if I could go see a counselor. Not necessarily like, mom, please go, but like talk to her and be like, hey, I know how how we believe, and it was all in my head, right? She's
yeah.
all like, no, mijo, right? My, my son, it's like, go do it. It's like, I encourage it, you should do it, and we can talk about it. And that just opened up a world where I could then open myself up,
Yeah.
right? So if you're ever struggling with that, where you feel like, your upbringing has you a certain way, or certain people around you have you a certain way, and definitely talk to somebody to get that help, and reach out, because it's a burden that's in your own head more than likely, and
Yeah.
not an actual thing that other people are putting on you.
Yeah. It's so crazy how we 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 convince ourselves that the other person is feeling the type or is gonna carry some type of load
Yeah.
and then you go and talk to your mom and it's completely different
Yeah.
than what we imagined it would be.
100%.
And it's the stuff that we say in our heads is so
Yeah, that's the devil
it
in our heads. Yeah.
is. It truly is. And it just holds you back from so much. Um, but yeah, like I said, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure I hope a lot of people will learn from that message and grow from that. Um, out of the 25 years, you've seen a lot of things. The Navy change, different scene. Well, not too much of a different scene because you were in San Diego the whole time, but different boats and a lot of ports and a lot of faces came by as well. Is there someone in the 25 years, or even a group of people that you could say that you wouldn't be here because of them?
uh, a few, yeah, definitely people along the way, right? I think my first chief that I had in when I got to HS-10, my first command, my first squadron. Um, Not, no, he wasn't actually even my chief. He was the maintenance controls chief on night shift, where I worked on night shift,
Hmm.
and I just always, like, he just had that character about him and that attitude. If he was a faithful man, I didn't know, but looking back now, I think he's probably a very faithful man, because the way he carried himself and the way he talked and the way he respected everybody and expected the same back towards himself. Right? I always looked at him as like, man, I want to be a chief one day, right? Not knowing how it all worked because I'm brand new to the military, but was like, man, I want to be a chief one day.
Right.
I want to be like that guy. And then when I hit hit the goal, it's like, oh, I can try
I am.
to, yeah, yeah.
I'm here now.
I hear what I did with my hands. Yeah,
Can't put them in your pocket.
yeah, yeah. You can.
It's crazy how people in the military, there's so many different characters in the military, right? And the ones that there's always the good ones and then the bad ones, leadership and all this crazy stuff. And yeah, we owe it to a good few men that are out there that, or women, good few military members that hold it down and shape our future,
Yeah,
right?
and the second one that really shaped my future was from my second command, and it was my buddy Cal, right? And last name, he was Sherwin Callahan was the name, but Cal is what he went by,
Mm-hmm.
and he's always a guy who I always respected and looked up to, and we became friends early on through that kind of mentorship that he was just good at doing, just not even asked for, right? But he just was good at doing it and good at giving it out to everyone around him. Uh, and even even when we became friends, at work, he was still the supervisor, and he yelled at me many times for acting up, which I always respected. I was like, hey, you're right. I shouldn't. He never expect you had any type of favoritism towards me because we were friends, and then our wives became friends, and all the
Oh,
kids would play together and, and all that. But yeah, he always held me accountable to my stuff, which I always respected. Uh, and just how he would always share his faith. I remember always looking at, we'd go down the galley and he would be there praying for his meals. I was like, man, I need, drove me to start doing that too,
yeah,
getting back into the faith and staying true to the Lord. And then, just seeing him being a faithful person towards people, which always I respected it. Kind of drove me to want to be that as well
yeah.
throughout my career.
So you say there's second. Was there any more that kind of shaped your career? I mean, 25 years, a lot of faces
There are a
that
lot.
that you know that you basically owe your career to, or your who you are today. Because I mean, 25 years, 10 to 12 hours every
Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I had
That's
a
what
yeah, I had a senior chief I worked for, Corky. But he went by Corky. Corcoran was the last name. Yeah, he went by Corky. But and he definitely helped shape me and got me. He saw the potential in me. I
Oh yeah.
talked to him years later too after, uh, and he's all like, "Hey, you helped me get where I'm at," and uh, because of the hard work that we put in at work all the time and being successful, deployments and all that stuff while working for him. And so he was very humble in that to not take the credit, to pass it always back down to us, being like,
Mm,
I made it to Master Chief because of y'all. I made it to the place I'm at. So I always looked up to that and respected that because through that whole time, of course, he was always leading and mentoring us through it all.
mm-hmm.
He was being the leader, and we were just following and doing, doing as we're told, but doing it happily because he made it a good working environment.
Yeah.
So,
Is there anyone else you'd like to
sure, there's
contribute?
plenty. There's plenty out there. Sorry, I can,
Yeah,
we
I'm sure
might be
there
here
is.
all day, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say those are my top two.
Yeah.
Give the credit to
Wow. Yeah, those
them.
leaders.
The first one, the chief that I can't remember his name, but he was one of the ones that kind of wanted me to stay in the military and strive for retirement and strive and keep that positive attitude. But then the other two came along later and helped shape that idea into
Mm,
what I became and what I am today. So
wow.
along with the Lord, not all of them.
Yeah.
The Lord was there the whole time.
Yeah, you put them in front of you.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
he
but
did.
you mentioned we talked about some of the leaders that shaped you. Was there a pivotal? I mean, I'm sure there was lots of pivotal moments in 25 years, but was there is there a specific moment that shaped you?
Hmm. Maybe not a single one because I think all of our experiences shape us, right?
Right.
Everything that we experience, whether good or bad, in our, like I said, married, divorced, deployments, you have what I'm sure you've experienced. You have what are and people know what I'm about. Good commands and bad commands, right? Good leaderships and bad leaderships. I didn't always look at it that way. It's just like, where can I be a positive impact in this
Hmm.
situation? Was I always? No, because I'm a human, and a man. But was conscious about that and tried to be. If I was at least the smiling face for that morning, and if that's all I had to give that day, that's what I tried to give. But so there think the whole career, I look back and, it was all impactful. It all had meaning. I don't ever look at one person I came in contact with or one person who helped shape my future, good or bad, and looking down on them necessarily as, they're a horrible person. They were just, they had bad experiences, and some people take it out on other people, and uh, not necessarily, because they really, really feel that way because they were just shaped that way,
Yeah.
and they couldn't. Not everybody has that ability, right? I'm sure I was there at one point in my life too, where I was standoffish to helping build other people up by either being neutral or breaking them down,
Mm.
or being part of the breakdown of them. So,
Yeah. That's a really positive way to look at things, and I'm glad that you were able to be the light in in the darkness. Where you were trying to, it sounds like you were trying to be the light in the darkness. Always trying to look for the positive in things, and yeah, I'm glad that there is people like you that are still out there doing that stuff, because it can be a very dark world in the military, and we need people like you. Um, I know I wasn't the light in the darkness by any means, but I'm glad I did see people that were, and I'm glad that they existed, because yeah, we need them.
how about you? Gonna turn that question around on you? How about you? What, you got any experience like that? Or
um, a lot of my experiences in the Navy, in the Marine Corps,
you're in the Navy now? No.
in the Marine Corps. Uh, the way I like to explain it is like for a, for one for 8 hours of really bad stuff, you get about 30 minutes of cool stuff, and that's how my whole career was. Um, but a pivotal moment that shaped me, I wouldn't say it's a moment, but I would say it's a person. And moment and person, because we followed each other um for quite some time, and his name is Dylan Dorr, but he passed away. Um, but yeah, he shaped a lot for me. Just he was a younger dude, younger than me, but he had a way better outlook on life, way better. And at the time, I was super stubborn. And I couldn't fathom talking to younger people for some reason. That's just how I was. But he was younger than me, and like I said, we followed each other, not in boot camp, and then to C school, the A school, and then to the fleet. We were in the same squadron. Um, but unfortunately, he passed away. So I would say he kind of solidified the military for me, and just was a pivotal moment of how I should be living my life. And yeah, shout out to him.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that
Yeah,
is definitely sounds like he did make an impact to you, especially still making impact to this day. Just
still does. Yeah,
many years ago to now. That's awesome.
yeah, and it, I mean, I didn't. While I was in, I didn't have faith. Right, I wasn't a Christian at the time, but I also contributed to my wife, my girlfriend at the time, and now my wife. She's the one that introduced me to Christ, and slowly got me going to church and growing, and then now looking back, I can see how God has been there the whole time. So yeah, and also thanks to God as well, for giving me the heart to surrender and just not be as stubborn and close-minded that I from what I used to be. So yeah, thanks for
Nice.
that
Yeah.
question, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it sounds like, yeah. Even with your wife, right? It sounds like God put the hammer right where it needed to be to hit the stubborn nail into the board.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Talking
Yeah.
about how God operates, it's very funny. God has a serious sense of humor, and how he teaches lessons, and just I pray every day to just be open to the lessons that he teaches me, because I know I used to not be like that, and just ask for the heart to see the lessons,
Yeah. Yeah. I
because
do.
it's not always, sometimes it's as easy, it's right in front of your face, and sometimes it's not. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you experienced the same thing with bottling things up, and just the experiences that you've had, and how God has always been there for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Even when we want to be Jonah, we want to go the other way, and
Yeah, even if we do run
yeah,
away,
he
he
gets us
still
back.
chased. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for your question.
Welcome.
So, from my understanding of the Navy, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys tend to switch jobs pretty frequently. You guys have the opportunity to switch jobs. Did did you stay as a helicopter mechanic the whole 25 years, or did you move around?
Yeah, I retired as a helicopter mechanic as
Oh,
well.
okay.
Yeah, but I got into the drone stuff. Like
Oh,
we'll probably get
drone.
into that. Yeah,
Yeah.
here later on. But yeah, I got into that stuff, but still as an AD, just because they were looking for that um, mechanical and instructor experience,
Mm-hmm.
and flight theory experience and all that to train other people, as well as like I had my MTS and all that, my master training specialist and everything. So, which is a lot that transferred over to what they needed for training people how to operate
Mm-hmm.
drones.
So I'm a Marine.
But
I have no idea what you fix on drones. Tell us a little bit about that and how was that transition?
well, some some of it was self-taught, right? Because at small, because now I teach the smaller drone stuff. I first started out with the bigger drones, the Fire Scout drone, but it's just basically the Fire Scout, right? It's just basically a big aircraft. Same thing. It's got drive shafts. It's got swash plate, right? Uh,
Sorry to stop you, but
yeah.
s- in my little brain, I thought a drone was like a small little.
They are, yeah, they are as well. So you have
Oh, there's different
you have
types.
different groups of
Excuse
drones,
me.
right? And group 1 through group 5 drones, right? Group
Okay.
1's being anything under 25 pounds, right? And then
And then so
group
up.
5 or group 2 up to 55, and then so on. Then the categories kind of get kind of vague just on capabilities, vice necessarily
And
weight.
which category were you assigned to a certain category or were you
Yeah,
just
well, the Fire Scout, that was a group 4 drone, I believe. 4, yeah.
okay?
Yeah, been a
So a
while,
bigger
but yeah,
one.
it was a bigger
How
one, yeah.
is it the size of like a normal?
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
the size of like a police helicopter that you see flying around.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
like that size, but except with computers instead of a pilot
So no
in there.
pilots
Yeah,
compete.
yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Pilot sitting at a desk and all that.
Playing video games.
Yep, yep. Yeah, and then so that was pretty cool, going from that, and then now what I do is the smaller drones, 25 pounds under, those more soft, capable, special operation guys,
Mm,
capable drones, teaching those guys how to operate those drones and counter drone stuff, basically uh, jamming and
mm,
drones and all that. So how both those sides of the world are working, a lot what we're seeing, overseas in wars now, with
wow.
Ukraine, Russia, uh, teaching guys about those tactics and capabilities.
Yeah. Wow. I learned something today. I learned something every day,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no, thank you for sharing
But
that. I mean,
but yeah, so yeah, back to I guess the original question was, yeah. So I stayed at aviation mechanic my whole time. In boot camp, I had the opportunity to go SO. That was one of the things they sent me to go do the physical test and all that, and I went and passed it. Like I said, I was, you know,
you said
athlete.
SSL?
Well, back then, well, now it's SO, right? SEAL operator.
Oh, okay,
To be a
okay.
SEAL back then, your rating people were actually became SEALs back then. And as your rate, you kept your rate and all that, and you're just
Right.
designated SEAL. But yeah, I went did that, and then I asked the question because I wanted to be a mechanic, right? That was my big thing. Is like, well, can I still do this job? And they're like, no, you're gonna go and do. It's like, well, no, then I just want to do this job. Like,
Wow.
again, being brand new and not knowing anything, it's like, no, I just want to go fix airplanes. That's what I want to do with my life.
Wow.
That's my passion,
Yep.
and so I stuck with what.
You stuck with it.
Yeah,
And even till now, right? After you've been out, when did you get out?
June 30th. That's
June 30th. So we're coming up on a
25.
year,
Yeah.
right? Almost a year. And we talked a little bit earlier that you said you do it as a contractor now.
Yes.
It's basically the same thing you did while you were in. Now you do it as a civilian contractor. So what that means for a lot of people that don't understand is we are civilians. I'm a contractor as well for my normal job, and we work for the government, but not paid by the government, but paid to our company that hires us.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, the company wins a contract,
Yeah.
government contract, and then they hire the employees with the skills required for that contract, and
Yeah.
then
And
we go and perform and get paid by our company.
yeah, that's us. We're
Yeah,
contractors.
yeah.
How would you say working as a contractor slash civilian now, you've been doing it for a year, compares to being in?
Different, of course, different, right? World of difference. Now we'll go back to the beginning, right? As from my retirement, not the beginning. We don't want to go all the way back there. Retirement, right? 25 years of doing the same thing, right? From 18 years old all the way to, I'm not going to tell you my age. You can do the math yourself. But um, that was my identity. That's what I felt like was my identity at the time, right? So getting out, just the feeling, that alone feeling, that nervous feeling. Well, prior to getting out, right? That nervous feeling, that what am I going to do with my
Yeah, that
life?
that transition
Yep.
period.
Um, you know, going into prayer, praying and just, not knowing what my future looked like,
Hmm.
and as the Lord says, put it in His hands, right? And we're very stubborn, at times, and I think I was being a little stubborn here at the beginning of when all this was happening, wanting to just hold on to the military thing, that military identity, and not releasing it and allowing God to do His thing. Although He did, without my help, of course, because we're no help to Him.
Yeah.
He went and did, He went and provided, right? And literally, I had this job a week after I retired because there wasn't even this position available at the time. But I called up, somebody told me, hey, here's the number, just call this company.
Hmm.
So I called the company, and their uh, lady's like, I just got out of the meeting. We just created a new position. Are you interested in it?
Wow.
I know how much experience you have. They already knew about me and know how much experience you have. You want to do an interview? Next day I was interviewing. And a week later I was hired on and working. So with all that nervousness, like, what am I going to do with my life? Retirement does not pay the bills. Not in San Diego anyway.
No.
Anywhere else probably, but not in San Diego. And so, just again, feeling that alone and that identity loss.
Hmm.
And then getting the job, still feeling that way. And then through prayer, realizing that, and talking, went and talked to a chaplain actually a couple times in the VA, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, very helpful man as well, helping me realize my identity because again, I was stubborn and being like, my identity is the military, not a child of God, right? Not thinking that, right? And
Right.
then him making me realize, no, you are a child of God. Like, that is your number one identity. Everything else is tertiary.
Yeah.
'Cause you're a child of God. You're a child of God, and then you are whatever you do. Then
Hmm.
you are whatever skill God gives you. But um, so yeah, so that was tough, right? At the beginning, that's another time that I kind of felt depressed and alone, especially that transition of getting out after 25 years. And I'm sure it's the same for everybody. If you did 3 years,
Hmm.
you know, you became something, right? Even, as I say, even 6 months out of boot camp, right? They changed you. They
Hmm.
made you something. You became somebody else from your knucklehead high school days, and they changed you into thinking this other way and having these other viewpoints and morals, um and then getting out for whatever reason even a year later is, I'm sure, a challenge. So if anyone, always goes back to the whole self-care, is reach out and touch somebody,
Yeah.
which I'm glad I did.
Yeah, that transition period is I know for myself and for a lot of people that I talk to, not everybody, but a good grip is like you said, it's very hard that you're you're giving away or that identity that we've built up. I mean, for yourself, 25 years is a long time, and then basically the military just kicks you out, and you're off to fend for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
And
drive to that blue line, and that's
yeah,
it. That's
yeah,
the last time you look back.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
know I know countless Marines that say they can't wait to get out,
Yes.
and I know deep down they're afraid because
100%.
they don't know what's out there, and like you said, it helps to talk to people, to have that understanding. I mean, for us, it's our identity is in Christ, not in the military, and just having that mind shift change, and just, but it is still hard. It's still hard because giving up your identity is not easy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, even myself experienced depression, anxiety, all that
Mm.
stuff that comes with it. Yeah, it's hard. So thank you for sharing that. I guess besides asking for help, because I mean, I would, that is the answer. Um, is there any other advice you would give to somebody who may be listening that is transitioning right now from active service to inactive service?
Yeah. Start early, right? Start early. I was me personally, right? I was expecting to get re-enlisted for another 5 years
Oh, you're
to
going for
finish out. I
30.
was going for 30, right? And everybody was on board. My command was on board. Uh, Millington, we thought were on board, and literally mine came actually down to 1,600 the last day, June 30th,
Wow.
and we never got the email. So I was like, well, here's my security badge, here's my laptops, and I guess I'll see y'all later. So it was very nerve wracking,
Wow.
in that aspect. Uh, and that's the same day I called the company, and again, the Lord works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I doing? Called them, and I got a job a week later. So
Yeah.
I was blessed.
That,
Nothing I did there. So,
that
uh,
sounds so nerve-wracking, getting down to the last
yeah,
wire, expecting to go for another five, and just, and I'm sure it happens to a lot of military personnel as well, and it's just out of our hands. It's, I see that as God teaching us a lesson that, like, it's literally out of our hands. Like,
100%. Yeah, and that was a big, yeah. That was a big, yeah. This is you. This is not you,
yeah.
right? This is not in your control. All the way through the whole, interview process to the how much you want to get paid process. All that is like I I look I could see God working in all of that. It's like,
Hmm. Yeah.
how is that possible? And
Right.
for all this to just be lining up perfectly and not even skipping a beat.
Hmm.
And I know I had nothing to do with it other than picking that phone up and dialing those numbers. I had nothing to do with
Wow. That's amazing.
it, anything else, right? Well, just my finger doing the tap on the screen, and that's all I did.
Hmm.
And God took care of the rest. And I think if I would have been stubborn right there, right, and not made that call, and not listened to God, and not been to make that call, I, I probably would be doing something else. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And be over there. Welcome to Jack in the Box, sir. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
that's funny.
Uh,
Yeah, God can. God.
$20 an hour, sign me up.
That's true. Yeah, it's amazing how God can close some doors that we think we don't agree with, but ultimately God opens other doors that are beyond what we can even imagine, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was in prayer too. I was like, God, please, I want to stay 5 years. I was praying to God, like, hey, this is what I want to do, because that's where my identity was, like we talked, right?
Hmm.
I was like, this is what I want to do. Just give me 5 more years. I want to finish out. I want that 30 years. It's 75% retirement,
Hmm.
all that good, good stuff to me, what I saw, right? And again, go back to, I loved it, right? I was not sad one day getting up in the morning, putting on the uniform and coming into work. Was
Wow.
not sad one day. Um, was it hard at times? Of course, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. But it's going back to the original question is um probably couldn't give all the advice in all the best ways, but like I said, start early in the process. If you're getting out, whether it's retirement or whether it's your end of your 4 years or your enlistment, however it might be, um start early, get the medical part right done, prior to getting out, and reach out to people who've done it before, right? You're not alone. Reach out. There's a
Mhm.
process, and other people can help you do it better. I had a buddy too, who lives in Mississippi now. He retired before me, and after his retirement, he became what do they call him? One of the little reps for the retirement process.
Oh,
I
yeah,
forget the name of it, but he became one of those,
yeah.
and he was doing that at the time I was going through retirement. So, he actually called me just out of the blue to ask me some questions about drones, And then I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm retiring." And he's like, "Oh, I do this thing. Hey, what's your email address? I'm sending you all this info. Boom, call me, hit me up." Oh, so did
Wow.
that, right? Just was on the phone with him every chance I got, along with my local rep here, who I had that I was going through here locally,
Hmm.
and then both of them leading me. So you're not alone. You have people out there and free services that are here
Yeah.
everywhere, not just here in San Diego, but they're in every location to reach out and get assistance with all that stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
don't do it by yourself. There's questions you don't know what to ask, right? There's paperwork you don't know you need to fill out,
Hmm.
right? And we're all in that boat, right? You can Google everything to death, but you may not catch everything you need to do. And again, there's people who are smarter than us and do this as a job to
Hmm.
get you from in service to out of service smoothly and correctly, with all the support you need and with all the smartness that that we don't possess.
No.
Uh,
Yeah, because we're just so locked in on
yeah, on our
our
personal job.
jobs and our jobs or whatever we do. We don't have time to learn
Yeah, yeah.
what it's like being out there.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah. My rep was like, "Hey, did you fill out the form? Yada yada." I'm like, "No." They're like, "Well, I'll email it to you. Just check it out. If you got any questions, call me. Send me an email. We'll get it filled out, and or call the 1-800. All of these have 1-800 numbers too. The forms, right?
hmm.
That you can call and be like, "Hey, I got a question about this question," and they walk you through the process. So
Yeah, that's that's some really good advice, and I think a lot of people are going to learn from that for the ones that are listening. And yeah, just like Frankie says here is just reach out. Ask the questions. We're always taught in the military to go find the answer. Well, go find the
yeah,
answer.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, somebody always has the answer, right?
yeah.
Like that's one of the things they teach, like as the E7 in the Chiefs mess,
Hmm.
is hey, all of us together have the answer, right? All of us together, all of our minds, all of our different ratings and job skills, from admin people, right, to this person, everybody has the answer together, right?
Hmm.
And if you work together, you can get to the answer. If you do that, in your Christian walk, if you do that in your job, whatever you have, military or civilian, right? If you reach out to other people, people are willing to help, right? It's just your approach, how you approach the situation, right?
Yeah.
And I think we've all experienced that, and when whatever we do, somebody comes at you sideways, you're not very willing to help them.
Yeah.
Sometimes you become Christian, become non-Christian real quick, right? When people come at you sideways, like, oh, okay, advice.
That BC comes
Yeah.
out.
Before Christ, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't let me go back to before. Yeah, that's funny.
Um, is there anything else that you would like to talk before we transition to we've kind of already did, but is there anything else you'd like to bring up in your 25 years of service?
No, other than like, have that positive attitude. No matter what you do, whether it's in service or you're out already, right? Have that positive outlook on life. Um, Always be looking for that next thing, right? That next skill, right? That next piece of knowledge, right? Uh, and then beyond yourself, right? That next person to help, that next person to
Mm,
get them to the level that you're at. Um, and the servitude, right? Serve in the military. You have so many opportunities to serve. I was in the military. I was a what's it called? Volunteer coordinator,
oh
right?
wow.
And I did that for years. Just setting up Meals on Wheels events for people, and then going and doing it myself, right? I personally got a lot of satisfaction in doing that, going and helping people build homes, going and helping out at schools. There's a few schools here around San Diego that we would go and help out. Get a couple people together, go, tutor kids and things like that. Go teach, volunteer to go help them work out during PE or whatever,
Hmm.
and serve your community. And there's plenty of opportunities to do that in the military. I got thousands of hours doing that while in the military. And then after transitioning out of the military, now doing that still for my local church, right? Skyline, where we go to. I serve on the dream team there at Skyline.
Hmm.
And I got from going out of the military, not knowing who I was, right, to starting to serve and finding my purpose in that serving other people. And just having that smiling face, and Patrick will tell you, right, he's always got a smiling face when he's out there. um, uh, I got so much enjoyment and helped me find my identity again. uh, so there's always those opportunities, especially in the military. There's a lot of opportunities to help serve other people. So always think about that, especially if you're a Christian, you should want to do that. You should strive to do that.
Yeah. Did you always have this call to serve? Is that something that's in you, or you had to cultivate it over the years?
I've, I've had a call to do it, and I think I've always been, looking back through my career, I always been the guy that, hey, you needed help moving. I was there. I was there early. I was there helping you till it ended, lifting all the heavy boxes and moving all the
Wow.
stuff. Um, you needed help fixing your car, right? Being a mechanic, growing up mechanics on cars, like, hey, yeah, bring your car over, or I'll come over to your place and I'll bring my tools and we'll get it done, and have a good time doing it, and we'll get it fixed. And you know, sometimes I never asking for money. People would sometimes be like, "Hey, here's some money." BC. Here's a 6 pack. Here's a 30 rack. um, so yeah, having I think I always had that call to serve, and I think that's something that my family and my upbringing um, uh, instilled in me too.
So, so you've been out for almost a year now, right? While in the military, we touched on it a little bit, um, but while we're in the military, we're so mission driven, and so we know our purpose, right? You said you're finding your purpose now, and have you found your purpose now, being out 1 year and not in the military, but as a retired vet? Have you found your purpose?
Uh, Not 100%, right? I think servitude should always be a thing that we do out of selflessness. So that might not necessarily be my calling. I don't think God has called me yet. Because again, we have our seasons, right? I think God called me to be in the military. I failed at times, and things that you think a 25-year career, right? Times I was BC, and times I'd come back and I'd go back BC and I'd come, right? Although once saved, always saved, right? But we would fall. I would fall, right?
Right.
And uh, just looking at all the souls, and that was a big thing. Also, when I retired and looking back and just being like, all the souls I missed, right? All the souls I could have saved to bring them to help lead them to Christ. At least point them in the direction of Christ, right? Through my actions, through through a talk or whatever it may have been. Sailor going through something, sitting down and having a talk with them about, uh, what faith in your life can do for even the hardest of situations, whether it's loss, right, through divorce or death or um, separations or financial, right? You pick the word, you plug it into that blank, and right. So I look back and missed out, and so part of what I want to encourage people is try to find those opportunities to lead people in the right direction, right? So that they have a stepping stone, especially those who don't know who Christ is or ever been taught who Christ is. They have a stepping stone to at least look towards, and then Christ Himself says Jesus says He'll do the rest. Just point them my way.
Yep.
Through the Holy Spirit, I'll get them.
Yeah.
I'll get them there.
Amen to that. Yeah. So 25 years, you're out 1 year. Is there anything, some habits that you've developed that you still carry on from your service till today?
I think since boot camp, I've always made my bed in the morning, right?
What about before?
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you make your bed then?
I
You
don't know.
45
Did I?
corners and
Yeah,
everything?
yeah. It's still the 45. Yeah. Well, I do the fold back and all that, but not don't do the 45 corners anymore. But there's just not any room to do that on this bed. But let's see. I and one thing that gets me very anxious, gives me a lot of anxiety, is being late. Oh man, I always tell my kids, it's like, don't make me late. It's like I just get so anxious,
Yeah.
like, oh, I gotta be, and that's just a military thing, right? Ingrained in you, right? What was the saying that I always came up with in the military? And maybe y'all had the same one. Is early is on time is late, and late is in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
We say the same thing.
So I always had to be early. Everywhere I go, early, early, early. Right? And when I'm on time, I'm just like,
We're
oh,
like,
yeah. I mean, just driving here, right? It was like, I saw my thing said I was going to be like 10 minutes early getting here, but I was still like, all
we
right,
gotta
like,
get
come on, light change. Let's go, light.
there.
Don't make me become a non-Christian real quick, you know.
That's funny.
But everything worked out. No traffic. Got here on time, a little
Yeah.
bit early, which is, so that the punctuality thing is definitely ingrained in me. Maybe since always, I think. But of course, growing up, had to get up early, had to go out work in the fields, and all the way, school and this and that. But I attribute a lot of that anxiety to the military, and then shit. Grooming standards are out the window now. Definitely. I do groom it though. You can
It looks
tell.
good.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
looks good.
I groom it, but the beard. But hey, I'm growing it out at least for a
Yeah.
little while.
I'm
To,
still keep in mind, you know.
yeah, you still do the high and tight and everything. I
Yeah,
see
still
that.
keep the fade going.
Yeah. I mean, I still have the structure in my household with my kids and everything. Uh, me and the kids. I've been raising my kids since 2012. As a single father. But yeah, the structure in your life, I think it's something hopefully that always stays and
Yeah.
doesn't fall apart as the years go on. But the punctuality is definitely one I can point
And
to.
how does your kids feel about your structure? Do they flow with it, or do they just like, oh, that's so rigid and strict?
No, because I don't think I'm rigid. I think I'm because I'm a smiley person. I'm always telling my kids, it's like, why are you, why you look grumpy? Smile. It's like you have nothing to be grumpy about. It's like you've
Mm,
got all this stuff. But how I don't think they have an issue with that. I mean, they get rewarded for doing good, right?
yeah,
They go and they've got a little chore chart, and they go and they do their chore thing that's on the board, and at the end of the week they get some money.
yeah,
Same thing. I've been called. My daughter was like, "Hey, can I go out with my friends and eat?" I was like, "Can you send me $25?" And I'm like, "Oh, like the $25 of work you did at the house? Like the one you lack to
yeah.
earn is like."
We're gonna put interest on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's like, no, I'm cooking dinner. You can come home, right? So sometimes you have to, right, uh, have boundaries and limits, right, as well,
Yeah,
and in your life, and especially when you have kids, right, you can't let them run over you, or you see what some of the kids out there do with their parents, right? Run over
yeah,
them. Who runs the household, the parent or the child, right? So
right.
as a parent, you should definitely have some kind of structure to lead your family, right? And hopefully there's some faith in that structure as well. But no, I don't. They've always they give me birthday cards and Valentine's cards and Christmas cards, so and gifts, so
Mhm.
hopefully it looks like they love me. No,
I'm sure
no,
they
but
do.
yeah, oh yeah, no, they definitely do. They're happy,
Yeah,
and just well behaved children. I've never had a problem, like I said, with them. They've always been well behaved. They would always get home and get on their homework and their chores, and I never yell at them, never spank
wow.
them. um, and it's always been like, yes, sir, and thank you. And yeah, times no, but most of the majority of the time they're very respectful. So
Hmm.
even with other people as well, which I very appreciated. Where I think that hopefully I was the example. It's like hopefully I was that example, show them the respect that I expected for me and for others, and now go out into the world and perform.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know you've only been out for a year. You haven't really found your true purpose yet, but you're still searching. But do you have any goals as a veteran now, rather than as a active duty?
Goals, yeah. one thing I've been looking into, which I want to do, is get my degree.
Yeah. What do you want to get the degree in?
Right now I'm looking at like robotics, some kind of robotics, some kind of
Ah.
tech type of degree. Um, try to be Dr. Ortiz. Try to get my doctorate. But yeah, that'll take a few years for sure. But going back to college, right? And that I guess back to that other question, right? Advice or something for people. Hey, knock out some of your college while you're in, right? Do it.
Yeah.
We all say we want to do it. We're gonna do it, and then, as you know, I think I've heard this from a lot of people, and I use that same excuse myself: is, oh, I never had time, never had time, never had time while I was in, never had time.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, we have time. It's where is your time being spent? Right? It's the same thing. Go back to I read my Bible. Right? It's like,
Yeah.
do I have time? Do I have time? You have time.
Yeah.
You're scrolling. Look at your what do they say? Look at your phone.
Your time or
Yeah, your time on the. I think Jeremy said it the other. No, not
yeah, Pastor
Jeremy.
Jerm or Pastor Tony.
Tony said it the other day, right? It's like go back and look at your history of how much time you spent on each app.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it'll tattletale on you where all your time is spent.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
rid of my social media. I mean, long time ago, probably 15 or 16. I got rid of it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I did the same thing. I don't have
Yep,
any.
didn't a week after, didn't miss it.
Yeah.
Did not miss a single thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm sure you experienced it too when you go around people who have the social medias and things, and they just seem so aggravated or annoyed or just some kind of negative
Yeah,
energy that they have
anxious or
going.
depressed or like because the whole thing is you're comparing yourself to other people's lives,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It's a big comparison. Who's got the best life, right? Who's got the best cool new toy? Who's got the best car? The nicest clothes?
Hmm.
Who does their makeup tutorial the best? Like whatever you want it, right? Who plays the best video game? And right, it's like
And here we are, like we don't even know any of it,
yeah, don't miss
and
it.
it's like, yeah,
Don't miss it because I'm not sitting here comparing myself to other people. I'm
yeah,
sitting here trying, right, as we all are, trying to compare ourselves to Jesus and hold ourselves to that standard and our families and vice,
right,
trying to hold ourselves to humans, other human standards who are just as broken as we are.
yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not, yeah, yeah. I'm glad that I don't have that. I don't have the social media and that need or want to like do any of that stuff. So I'm really fortunate that God gave me that heart. Um, and likewise for you, I'm sure you're happy about it too, because it's like I said, they're not downing on people who do have it or anything. We just I just want to say our experience with it,
Yeah,
and
but yeah, it's not. Yeah, like you said, not put anybody down who has it. It can be a good tool, right? You can use it as a tool to reach a whole lot of people, right? And,
yeah,
you and even like this, right? We're probably on somebody's going to be on somebody's social media
that's true.
at some point, right? And they're going to be hearing this, and they may get impacted and affected in a
Hmm.
positive way, right?
Yeah,
So it can be a good thing, right? It's like, but what are you looking at?
yeah.
What are you putting your time into? And then how much time are you putting in that? And is there other places you could be putting that time into, like uh, your education or like your faith walk or your children, right? Because that was the big one for
Mm,
me, right? Your family, right? Your family, your children, or whatever it may be, even relatives, whatever, like creating some kind of bond or friends or like you plug in your thing that means stuff to you other
mm-hmm.
than material stuff, right? um, is you have time, but are you spending hours? And that was for me, right? I realized, and that's the day I deleted it. I was 2 hours just thumbing up and just scrolling and scrolling on MySpace. Yeah, just kidding.
That's funny.
It's MySpace. No, no, it was Facebook probably. I'm sure at that time, right? And just scrolling for 2 hours, and then I literally was like. Wait, when I heard my kids playing in the other room, and I was like, "What am I doing? I
Mm,
should be over there playing with them. We should be having fun together."
mm-hmm.
And I literally went delete, and went in the room and played with my kids. Right?
Yeah,
And I think our bond, we grew closer, right?
yeah,
Like you put in that wall between you and the one you should be loving on, right? But again, not to say get rid of it, just don't spend so much time on it, right?
mm-hmm.
For me, it was it's like an addiction, right? If you don't get rid of the alcohol or the drugs, that and then make an effort to
Right.
towards doing better with that stuff, then you'll never get better. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we could talk about the social media thing and that thing all day because we both don't have it. So,
right.
um, yeah, just a lot of positives from our experience of not having it. I think is what we're trying to say. Um,
So if anybody I know that's hearing this and and been messaging me on social media, I don't have it anymore. That's why you can't get a hold of me.
that's what. Um, so how do you find yourself today? I want to know how is Frankie, the retired 25-year veteran, doing today after all the experiences, after all you've been through, and now being a civilian in a whole new chapter. How are you doing?
Well, yeah, so good, right? Really, really well,
Awesome. I'm glad to
actually.
hear that.
You know, uh, like they got the scale thing, 1 through 10.
Yeah.
This last week it's been like a 9. It's like,
Wow.
do I get down in the sixes? I think a couple weeks ago, yeah, it was a 6. Like, but that rating scale thing. But this week's been good. But overall, it's probably 8 since I started serving. Right, and like if you want to go average, right, 8. Right, since
Yeah.
I started serving and help people at Skyline, and getting involved more and getting into the Bible studies and reading my own Bible more at home and making more of an effort at doing that stuff and praying more consistently. Definitely, all of that has just uh, changed my life. Right,
Mhm.
one of the commissions, right, God has is just share our testimony, and that's probably uh, there's lots that go into it, but the most recent impact in sharing that testimony would be that um, I had go back to the identity thing, right? My identity was in the military, not realizing where it should proper place belonged as a child of God. Once I started seeing that, it, I turned my life around,
Yeah.
um, just emotionally and mentally as well, because a lot of the things I used to think about and want to do, right? I just don't have any type of inclination or any temptation to do
Mhm.
anything that would negatively impact my life. And of course, if it negatively impacts my life, it would affect my children, my family, and all that. So we always got to be thinking about
Right.
things like that.
Yeah, thinking about others, and I'm really glad that you brought up that identity thing because I think a lot of not just military member, but I think a lot of people struggle with their identity and where they put their allegiance with and where just that whole spectrum.
Oh yeah,
And
100%. Because again, if you got the social media and you're seeing like, hey, I'm however old are, you're 28 years old, right? And I'll identify as a 28-year-old myself. Right? And I can do that, right?
only in
No.
California.
Right. But no, like you're 28 and then you see another 28-year-old on social media and they got this, Maserati, and they got the pretty girlfriend, and they got the nice house, and they, got a podcast or what, this other thing. And it's like, man, why am I not there? Right. They put their identity in that. And then they're
Mhm.
like, why am I not that? What am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? It's like you're looking at it wrong, right? You're comparing yourself to other people, and you're not looking at the gifts that God gave you, and you're probably not using them to your full potential, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and that's why you may be feeling a certain way.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Well, we're starting to near end towards our podcast here, but here at the Barracks Life, we have a little tradition that we like you to be a part of. So here I have a bowl full of papers. Actually, they're questions. They're questions from previous guests who have been on this podcast who would like to know something about you. So I would like you to grab two or we're gonna have you grab 2 questions, but one at a time, and answer these questions. So if you could please just draw from this
From the
here board.
podcastable question of the day. He didn't mix them up very well.
It's all one question.
It's all the same
It's
question.
all rigged.
Yeah, he forced me to get this one, guys. He was like, "Nope, not that one. Nope, no."
You could just read it out loud and answer the question.
Oh, I didn't know how to read.
It's hard for me.
I'm a mechanic. I just hit things with hammers. Right?
Yeah.
What was your most embarrassing moment on deployment? Next question.
I can take that from you.
You can have it. Most embarrassing. There's probably more than one, right? we done a lot of dumb stuff. I guess BC. And, we were out drinking. We got in trouble. We had to come back, muster on the ship.
Mhm.
We didn't. It necessarily wasn't all of our trouble, but we all got called back, and it was a very hot day. And where were we? In Mauritius, Africa, Mauritius island off the coast of Africa, Mauritius, and it was hot, right? And so the drinking plus the not a whole lot of water plus the heat. I passed out in front of everybody. Like we had to go muster out on the flight deck in front of everybody, and everybody's in trouble and getting yelled at. Yeah, pretty embarrassing. Just go out and just good night.
Wow, so you were information and
Yeah,
just
just the heat, just
in front of
yep.
everybody.
And well, not just the heat, right? Dehydrated.
Wow.
Yeah, in front of everybody, hit the ground. Somehow I got back up. Everybody's like, "How did you stand back up without touching the ground?" Like I hit the ground on my back and stood back up. It's like a reset, like a body like reset.
Wow.
And there I was back on my feet. Like
that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
All right.
Because then everybody's around you. Are you okay? Oh, and
Yeah,
trying to
right,
like,
yeah. And your information
yeah,
too,
and
where
I'm like,
you're not supposed to break it and all.
Fight. And they're like, no. Doc runs over. And it's like,
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. All right, if you could just draw question number. Oh, not that one.
That's perfect. That's gonna be the one. You're gonna have to read that one.
You're
in
gonna have to
secret.
find it again.
I did. There it is. It's the same question. Is the military's logistic network fully internal, or does it rely on contractors for global supply delivery? Am I the person to answer this question? Am I the smart one? No. I'm
That's
so
an opinion.
everything. Yeah, must be. But no, I think like a lot, right? We're contractors for the military. I think the reason, right? Because I do know the reason why a lot of jobs get contracted out, right? Is because we definitely you need that consistency there, right? If it's just military folks, right? You have somebody with all the knowledge, right? Like we'll take instructor duty for an example. They leave the job, right? And they get another person just to fill the billet because this guy's got orders to go somewhere else and this guy doesn't know as much as the last guy. You could lose a lot of in translation there or for other types of jobs that need to be like stationary jobs to hold knowledge there. And consistency over time. So sure, there's plenty of contract and logistics companies out there who take that burden off of the military to always having that fit that bill.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you for those thoughtful answers. But I also part of our tradition as well is to connect you to the guests, not just by answering questions that they have, but also by giving questions. So I'd like you to, if you could provide 2 questions that you have that will be for the next person or for someone sitting in that same chair you're sitting in.
All right, you're writing down. You writing this down? I wrote mine down because I was expecting.
Oh,
this.
you did? Wow.
I was expecting some questions.
Our secrets were out. Yes, of
You can
course.
cut that part out. Just make me sound smart. In your experience, where have you seen faith tested the most?
Mhm.
In crisis, in success, or in obscurity?
Awesome. Question 2.
How do we prepare, or how do you prepare, right, the next generation of warriors,
Mm,
right? Not just tactically, but spiritually. And that's part of what I want to implore people to do. It's kind of
mhm.
a closing is take take an effort to teach people not just their job and what's expected of them, but a lot of what we do as military members with the discipline is what it takes to be a faithful person, to walk a faithful life.
Yeah. Well, thank you for those thoughtful questions. And those questions will be added to the collection. And we look forward to the guests that get to hear those questions or respond to those questions. So thank you. Um, like I said, we're closing up on here, but we still got a few more questions to go, or yeah, a few more questions. But your 25 years has been a journey. It is always a journey for everyone who does 25 years, but I think a lot of people can learn from your journey, and I hope they do learn from it. And I mean, you transition from being an aviation mechanic to actually working on you still work on helicopter, but active pilot driven helicopters to non-pilot driven helicopters now. And then you're still doing that in the civilian sector. And all through that, you had your faith through it as well to help you through. And that carries a lot of wisdom and a lot of hope for a lot of military members that are kind of lost. And we just thank you for that.
No, you're right. Marines, they're lost. They're all lost.
We
No,
are
I'm just
lost.
kidding.
But yeah, it just before we go, is there you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but is there one last thing you would like to tell the viewer, whether they're active duty or veteran like yourself, or even the civilian that could be listening? Is there one thing you would like to tell them?
And it's kind of like my other statements, right? Uh, don't be afraid to be more open with your faith, right? There was a time when I was as well, right? Very nervous, especially in the military and out in both out in the civilian world, right? When I see people and in the military, I was shy to do it. Feeling to feel judged, but now that I've been more open about it, and seeing more people and talking to more people about it, kind of find out so are they.
Yeah.
They might not be, they might be a little more ahead on their faith walk, they might be behind you, right? But this is where we can help each other if you actually just talk to two people and share your faith. Me personally, I've you see my hat, right? Hope dealer, right? Wear my Yahweh shirt, my Yahweh sweater, and that always opens up a conversation. Or my Jesus hat, right? The way, the truth, and the life, um, and usually opens up a conversation when I'm in certain situations. One example, right? I listening to a Christian radio station in my car one day, and a guy. He was walking. I seen him. I was like, "Hey, buddy, you need a ride over here?" I was on the base, right? You need a ride?
Mhm.
He had a bag with him. He's like, "Yeah." I jumped in. I was listening to the Christian radio station. He's like, "Oh, I like the station. I listened to it. That's awesome." I didn't, And then we just started talking about faith,
Yeah.
which is awesome, right? So uh, there are more there are more people out there than what you look. Even when you look at somebody, right? We do it, right? We judge the book by the cover,
Yeah.
right?
Unfortunately, we
And
do.
and
Yeah.
you may encounter somebody who you help grow or will help you grow.
Yeah. That's awesome. It sounds like you're always looking for a way to disciple somebody.
I do. I don't pray about it every morning because
Mhm.
I do forget sometimes. Sometimes I'll get off on a tangent about something else in my mind. But the days that I do pray about it, it's like, Lord, hey, give me one person to talk to. He doesn't fail. He gives me the one person. Do I fail at times? 100%. Right. I sometimes will look back at the end of the evening or back in prayer at night and be like, I missed it.
Mhm.
God put him there. I asked for it. God did it, and I failed in
Yeah.
that situation. But I don't ever feel like God judges me for that. Right? It's like, yeah, another opportunity again. Tomorrow's another opportunity.
Yeah, I like to look at it like it's always it's a lesson or a blessing.
Ah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that was an opportunity. I missed it. Okay, I'll be more vigilant next time. Or like, yes,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
because sometimes it'll just be like you're in the hustle and bustle, right? And you just head down and grinding, and then
mm-hmm,
you could, if you would have lifted your head for 2 seconds, you would have seen that person who needed that just little bit of help, or that look, or that word or sentence, right? That would have just made their day better, or
mm-hmm,
helped them from a struggle, or hey, let me hold that door for you. Hey, let me pick that up for you. Let me help you carry that box. Right? That could have just been something that would have just showed that somebody does care about them,
yeah.
and somebody's there for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, that pretty much wraps up our podcast, and we just want to thank you for your 25 years of service and for the wisdom that you've given us on this podcast for the world to hear. I think it will help a lot of people out there, and just yeah, we just thank you.
Frankie Ortiz is a reminder that your identity isn't defined by a uniform, a rank, or a title. It's found in something far greater. From missing his grandmother's funeral on deployment and still showing up for his team, to raising his kids as a single father and excelling at it with structure, grace, and a whole lot of love. Frankie didn't just serve 25 years, he led with a smile that no amount of hardship could take away. Whether you're turning wrenches on a flight deck, transitioning out of the military, or just trying to figure out who you are on the other side of a major life change, it matters. And for those of you listening who are bottling things up, who feel like your box is getting full, or who are afraid to reach out, I hope Frankie's story has shown you that it's okay to ask for help, and that God doesn't just meet us in our victories, He meets us in our identity crisis, in our lowest moments, and sometimes through a phone call we almost didn't make. Join us next time for another compelling story from the barracks life. Until then, this is Kit Lovan reminding you that where boots hit the deck, stories take flight.